Quasi here, and in this video, I want to share with you why affirmations don't work, what to do about it, and really how to get them to even work, and what simple alteration to make in it. This video isn't for everyone because this will trigger you if you've been using affirmations for a while, so come into this with an open mind, but also really wait till the end of the video because I'm going to share with you the 3 keys on how I got them to work and how to really make them super effective. Before I begin this video, I want to quickly announce that a couple of spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult with me and my team for the Reality Mastery program. Make sure you wait around until the end of the video for the announcement on that. And with that, let's get started. So today I want to talk to you about affirmations and why they're so tricky to get to work. And I've been experimenting with affirmations since I was 17, I would say, and to the most part, it hasn't worked. You know, for a year or so, I remember doing the Think and Grow Rich, like, oh, I'm so happy and grateful that by January 1st, 2019, I'll have 100K in the bank, blah, blah, blah. And really, it's never worked. I did it for a whole year. You know, not even a little change has been made, not even a little dent. And I want to explain to you why that is and how I finally got them to work. What's the key principle, not technique, but principle I had to understand to get it to work, okay? Now, what you got to understand is when we start off, most use affirmation to try and change their minds, okay? This is key. What do I mean by this? Well, you can tell yourself you're wealthy, you're rich, you're confident, all you want, but without proof, the mind will never accept it, right? You're just going to try to change the mind. This is just going to deepen the conflict within yourself, right? You can just try to tell yourself, oh, no, I'm happy. Oh, no, I'm peaceful. I'm happy. I'm confident. All you want, but the mind just needs proof in order to accept anything. That's just the nature of the mind. If it's not in physical reality, it's not going to want to accept it. Okay? This is the logical, the intellect, if you will. And number 2 is, mind requires proof. If you try to change something, okay, it's much more difficult to change something that is rather than to choose something new. Most try to change their current conditioning instead of choosing a new conditioning and dissolving the old one. There's a very, very key difference behind this. It's very nuanced. Instead of trying to change your current reality and your current state of being, choose what you'd like to experience and feel and just let go of what's not serving it. Right? It's as simple as that, but we try to fight against ourselves. We think we got to grind. It's because society teaches you this. And society teaches you this because it wants you to keep grinding and fighting, right? It puts this idea into your head that, oh, you must fight to earn your place under the sun, which is a limiting belief in itself, right? So that's number 1. And understand, this is what I started to look at. I started to look at successful people and not anywhere did I see a mention of affirmation. Do you think Jeff Bezos sits in his home all day just muttering affirmations to himself, or Elon Musk? No, they have that realization. The realization within them has occurred that they are this, right? So they don't have to try and convince themselves. The more you look at the mirror and you try to tell yourself you're confident, you're rich, you're just affirming the lack thereof, right? The more you try to change your current situation, the key focus that you have is on what you are not. When you try to convince yourself you're confident, you're just telling yourself you're not confident. You're just telling yourself you're not worthy, right? It's as simple as that. And for these successful people, the realization has occurred. That's why they don't feel the need to do that anymore. How has this realization occurred? Because their minds have accepted it, that they are successful, that they have a successful business, so they no longer linger in about their own self-worth and their personal limitations. The more you engage yourself in your personal limitations, the more these personal limitations will keep growing. The more you'll fall into the trap of the mind, trying to tell yourself some story and trying to convince yourself of something that there is no proof of. Okay, so what is the best thing to do? I'm going to share with you that in the 3 keys afterwards. But before we go on to that, the last point you got to understand is that every affirmation, every single belief that you have eventually will become a limiting belief. Okay? Every affirmation, every belief eventually becomes limiting. This was absolutely key for me to understand because I no longer understood why when I hit my 20K month in my business, right? I couldn't progress up. It was difficult for me. I was hitting a plateau. And that's because I've been saying, oh, Quasi's, I'm worthy of the 20K month. I'm worthy of the 20K month for so long that it's become a part of me and I could no longer step away from it, right? It's become so ingrained that when I hit the 20K month, I was just stuck there. I just couldn't step away from it. So when you can't detach yourself from it, you become so attached to it. That's when it becomes a limitation when you want to hit the 80K months, when you want to hit the 100K months, right? So I had to really work and understand the dynamics, the internal dynamics behind that to help me detach and become more flexible so I could consciously choose any identity that I wanted. Okay, the key understanding you got to take from this is the flexibility. Okay, now I'm going to share with you this mental model that's going to make more sense of it for you, why affirmations aren't working, the most effective way to use them. Okay, instead of sitting at home and mindlessly muttering to yourself how you're rich, you're wealthy, and actually get them to show up in your reality. Okay, so what I want you to understand is that there's this whole cycle. When you do affirmations and these two things are missing, the loop never gets completed. Okay, the first thing is, let's say you want to experience a new reality, right? You're currently poor, you want to be rich. You're currently making 10K a month or 5K a month in your business. You want to make more money, but for some reason the business isn't sticking. For some reason your business isn't growing. For some reason you can't attract more clients. Why does that happen? So let's look at it like this. You have the affirmation, I want to get more clients, or I want to be a successful coach, right? You make the affirmation to yourself, I am a successful coach. Great. Where is the proof that you are a successful coach? Because again, as we mentioned before, without evidence, the mind will never accept it. So most keep doing this affirmation and saying it to themselves without proof. And they just, because they don't know what to look for, they start to just go about it. And they're like, oh, well, it's not happening. And they affirm the lack thereof. And they start to come from a place of frustration. They're like, oh, it's not happening. It's not happening. They open one eye. They're like, am I a successful coach? Am I attracting clients? No. Am I a successful business person? Is my business growing? No. Shit, it's not working. Then they start to affirm the lack thereof. It's not what words you say to yourself. It's the feeling it invokes and the realization that occurs within that makes this change happen. Okay? So that's why this loop never gets closed up. You just keep going around in circles with the affirmation. You go up here, you don't see it, then you start to doubt yourself, and then you come back, right? That's the biggest pitfall. So what can we do instead? How do we give the mind proof? How do we close this loop? This is where confirmations come in. Okay, this was key for me to understand. What do confirmations do to your affirmations? Let's say I make an affirmation, I'm a successful coach. Confirmation, where am I a successful coach? Where have my clients gotten successful results? Like make a list of 3 things at least that prove that you are this. You know, if you want to write an affirmation, next to it, write a list of 3 things, 3 confirmations. Okay? This is what leads to the loop completing itself. Okay? You go from, okay, I'm attracting successful clients. Where's the proof that I'm attracting successful clients? Oh, look, my Facebook ad had an engagement. Oh, this means it's working. Oh, look, I just got my first client. Oh, this means it's working. If there's a first client, then there's more. Do you see what happens when you do this? Your complete focal point shifts from, I don't know if I'm worth it, to, wait a second, this could be working. Your belief system just upgrades. It takes a tank up just right in that moment when you start to look for that proof. Because now your mind starts to really digest this, that this could be a reality, this could be happening. Another great way to do that is to look at other people who are doing something that you want to do, and you're like, oh, look, there's proof. The other people are doing it, so I should be able to do it too. But then what happens is that can be a pitfall, because now you look at other people, you constantly start to compare yourself to other people. And also it's a pitfall when you want to launch a genuine idea and there hasn't been a proof of concept of that before, right? This is especially key for those with startups trying to get new ideas completely off the ground. So that's why studying the lives of successful people really help give you that fuel to keep going, knowing that they've gone through that struggle as well. You accept the struggle. It makes you accept the struggle, makes it a part of your journey. Okay, so understand that every affirmation that you have, jump straight to the confirmation. Where is proof that this has happened? There is always a confirmation. You can try to bullshit yourself and say, no, there is no proof. Whatever little thing it is, just start off with it. If someone just even says, you want to be attractive, right? You're like, oh, I'm attractive. And a girl looks at you for 5 extra seconds than normal. You tell yourself, you use that as a confirmation, okay? It's giving your mind proof. The more proof you have, the more it becomes a reality for you. That's confirmation. Now also, once this cycle gets closed, this becomes a part of your becoming. What you got to understand is that you never stop, right? This is why people hit this wall. When they get to that 20K month, they want to get to something next. But they can't because they've attached themselves so rigidly to the 20K month. Once it happens, they start to procrastinate in their efforts. They can't raise their internal ceiling, right? This is something I experienced as well. I was like, well, I hit the 20K month. Great, I'm done. But deep down, I wanted something more. I wanted to expand more. It's never enough, right? Because you want to keep expanding boundlessly. So the confirmations, the purpose they serve is they feed into your becoming and who you're becoming, okay? But also, then you can use that to iterate and use new affirmations that launch you up into a different level. You make adjustments to it. And then you come back to the affirmation of, okay, well, now I know I'm a successful coach. I'm a successful coach that brings in 30K a month worth of clients. And then you put that affirmation in there. And then you start to look for confirmation of that again, and then it feeds into your becoming. It becomes a part of you. Then you keep going up in this cycle. This is the most powerful thing you can do, right? If you look at people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and all of those successful people, they unconsciously do this, right? They have an idea that they go out with, and they don't just start to look at where it's not working. They start to look at what is working and what they can learn from it. Right? If you look at Jeff Bezos, he had a lot of failures and he calls them successful failures. Like starting up, Z-Shop, and that didn't work, but it led to Amazon Marketplace, and how he found out Amazon Prime and how that went completely next level. Amazon Web Services, how that went next level, the 3 big ideas they had. But also there were a lot of failed ideas before that, right? But he's just looking for what to iterate and what is working, because in his world, there's just success. There is success and successful failures, right? AKA failures that lead to success, what you can learn from them, what you can iterate from them. This is key for you to understand as well. When you don't let failure become a definition, it isn't even a part of your vocabulary. You completely change, you recontextualize failure, and you say there is no such thing as failure. There is just success and the inevitability that leads to success. The lessons that you learn that lead you to success anyways. That's key to know. So this is the cycle that will really make the change for you, understanding that when you do an affirmation, you launch a new design. But this design has to be confirmed in reality. So that's when the unmanifest, the blueprint, becomes solidified in your reality by you looking at proof of where it's becoming. Okay? And then this feeds into part of who you are and your identity, and then you can use it again to launch another new design. I'm going to now share with you the 3 keys to powerfully do this in your life. Make sure you pay close attention till the very end of this video. Okay? Key number 1 is understanding the concept of time. Okay? Time means, like, when should I use my affirmations? Is it when I'm struggling and I'm, at a place of unease? Or is it when I'm relaxed, right? So when should you use your affirmations? And I recommend using them in the mornings and at night. When you're completely relaxed, when you're about to fall asleep. You just say them to yourself. You look at what you want for your life and who you're becoming every single day. Who would you like to become? You just choose that instead of focusing on what you're not. The mind will unconsciously go to what's not working. At first it'll be like, oh, but that didn't work. Oh, but it's not really working. If it's not working now, no problem. It's in the process of working. It's eventually going to show up. There's a delay before it shows up, right? So understand the concept of time. When do you use affirmations? When you're really like in the middle of everything and you're struggling, you're having a terrible day. Do you just pause everything and you open up your affirmations book and you're like, no, I'm confident. No, I'm happy. That won't work. That just leads you to fighting against yourself. Right? That's number 1. Number 2, this was key for me to experiment with, and this also helped me become more flexible within myself, is the type of affirmations that you use. I used to use a lot of first-person affirmations, but I saw that it led to attachment, right? Then I switched to third-person affirmations. It's key. First versus third, What's the difference between first person affirmations and third person? Well, this is what happened for me. I could see and map out who I'm becoming. For the next stage in my life, I had to become this, the next chapter in my life. Okay, this is the kind of person I had to become. Before, I had to become really individually solid. Now I have to become a leader and lead a team. Okay, so this is the key difference. When you say quasi is versus I am makes you more rigid, and you can't, because you're now like trying to define who I am, you know, because I is essentially boundless, but you're trying to put a definition to it. Instead, if you just use your name and you create a form and you say quasi is, it becomes much easier to step in that form. The vehicle and the operator become two separate events, okay? The operator is the consciousness itself that assumes this material body and this material mind to function in this material world, okay? Except that the nature of all your goals are material, right? You want to experience this material plane, that's why we've come here. So when you accept that, you use third-person affirmations, you craft this new character for yourself. Who is Quasi? Well, Quasi is this successful entrepreneur. Quasi is easily making X amount a month. Quasi is bringing in X amount of clients in his business a month. That starts to become much more powerful because now you can step into that form, okay? And now you're no longer rigid and it no longer stops you when you have to upgrade and evolve after that. I hope that made sense. Number 3, understanding the being, okay? This is probably the most powerful out of them all. And what I mean by that is the confirmations, right? Confirming every single affirmations in reality. You must do this. Without that, you're just going to keep going around in circles with affirmations. You've got to show your mind the proof of where it is you are becoming. And trust me, there is always proof. There's always evidence out there. However little, it doesn't matter. You start off with the little and then you eventually build up. You'll see how it compounds on itself. Right? Obviously it won't happen overnight, but give it some time, work with it, do what's necessary, and come from the place of being you would like to come to. Most people just focus on doing. You know, you got to remember that you're not a human doing, you're a human being. Right? So don't try to do an affirmation, because this is what we try to do. We have a problem and we try to solve the symptoms of that problem, right? Let's say your business isn't up and running, and then you start to see the symptom is business isn't generating revenue or profit, right? But what's the core issue why it's not? Internally, what's going on that's making my business this way, right? Who am I that's making me have an unprofitable business right now? Because everything you see outside is the symptom of the internal problem. I can promise you that. If you're not in the correct alignment within yourself, the solutions won't present themselves to you. You're just going to keep fighting against yourself every single day. It's just going to be a battle. You know, achieving those high revenue levels, achieving that performance in your business, you're always going to come from a place of unconsciousness and you're going to try to hold on to it. We've had clients who've come into the program who've struggled to keep up a 30K month, and then they've gone from that to just with ease having a 60K month in their businesses, right? But all as a result of not holding on to it, not fighting to maintain that role, but relaxing into that role, right? And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching, and let's do a quick recap of what we talked about. Essentially, we talked about affirmations and why they don't work most of the time and what really causes them to actually work. And the biggest takeaway I want you to take from this video is understanding that it's not the affirmation that's important, but the realization that occurs, the realization of the being, not the affirmation that you're doing, okay? And most use affirmations to try and change themselves instead of choosing something new. If you try to change something, you're automatically going to be focused on what is currently. The more you try to convince yourself and try to change your mind that, oh, I am confident, I am wealthy, the more it's going to affirm the lack thereof, right? So the mind just requires proof, and this proof comes in the form of confirmations. And understand that successful people don't use affirmations. They don't sit in their homes using affirmations every single day, but they look for proof of where it is working and what to improve on, what to make better so that it does work. So this realization of being has occurred within them. And finally, understand that every single affirmation, every single belief that you have will eventually become limiting. Okay? And what do you do about that? Well, first of all, I want you to understand this cycle of how to really step into someone new and how to, as a result, experience that external world that you want to experience. And it first begins with the affirmation, then you look for confirmation no matter how little of that affirmation. And then that eventually feeds into who you're becoming. Because if you look at my videos when I first started to who I am now, I'm a completely different person. And as a result, I'm experiencing a completely different reality, right? So this will cycle within itself again and again and again. And the 3 keys to remember are timing with your affirmations. When do you use them? Do you use them to try and change something and again, create that struggle? When things aren't going well, then you affirm to yourself. Or do you use them from a place of relaxation and choosing that new reality you'd like to experience? Number 2, understand that there are different types of affirmations. Do you use first person or have you ever tried a third person affirmation? Because I'm telling you, this solves the problem of everything becoming limiting, because now you become flexible as the operator and you can choose whichever form that you want. This is why yoga is so popular, because when your body becomes flexible, your mind becomes more flexible as well. If you become rigid, you're just going to keep experiencing that one thing for the rest of your life. Okay? And finally, the most important of all, understanding that it's all in the being. It's all in the confirmation. Stop trying to do something and trying to convince yourself, but rather just let the realization arise within you. Look for the confirmations. Just look for what's working and ignore all else that's not. But even better, use what's not working as markers to improve. Because understand that there is no failure, just success and the paths that lead to success. And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And also, I'm super excited to announce that the free one-to-one consult with me or my team for the Reality Mastery Program is now open. If you want to sign up for that, make sure you click on the link in the description below. We have a few spots available, okay? And who we work with are typically as follows. First of all, professionals who are looking to take their careers to the next level, or they're looking to transition out and start up their own businesses. Something that gives them time and financial freedom. But what they're seeing is that they have all of their business vehicles and they've tried them and none of it sticks. It's like they're throwing spaghetti at a wall with the affiliate marketing, trading, agencies, I don't know, what did I try? Drop shipping. And with all of these things, what's happening is that they just keep hitting a wall, right? They just keep jumping from one thing to the next. But they know that it's not the business opportunity that's the problem, but it's rather them. Something internal is keeping them stuck here. It's not a skill set deficit, but an internal ceiling that's keeping them stuck here. People who are entrepreneurs as well, in a similar boat. They want to experience higher revenues, make more money, but what they're seeing is that they're stuck at a certain revenue level because, it's something internal keeping them stuck here, not the lack of strategies, tools, and tactics, and masterminds and coaches, because they have all of that. Okay, if that sounds like you, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity, sign up for the consult, and let's see how we can help. And also, the free Facebook group is open for you to take advantage of. The link for that is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, peace.